Hi students, welcome. So let's wait for another 1 or 2 minutes and then we can get started. Okay, I think we can get started. So I'm going to resume the recording. Okay, so welcome. Today is the last session for the AI Hackathon technical training. I hope you learned something from the previous recordings, and also just in case in the future when you actually have the the business challenges or you have the project to work on. I'm going to schedule some office hours so that whenever you have any questions, feel free to let me know. So for today's session, we're going to briefly discuss three topics. The first one is we are going to upload this really specific instruction about how you can install and also use OpenAI Codex app. So this is the really important part for your project. I believe basically as soon as you have the access for the Codex, you're going to able to run all the code and then experiment everything. So later today I'm going to run a demonstration for the the Codex app. Okay, which how for the interface, this is this is the code this is the Codex interface you're going to see in the future. So first of all, for this really step-by-step instruction for MacBook and also both the MacBook and also the Windows users, basically we the easy thing is we go to the you can really directly search for the Codex, and for example you can say Codex download for Windows, or you can say Codex download for MacBook, and you are going to learn how you can download the Codex app. So basically, after the installation, the Codex will be something like this. This will be the interface of the Codex application on your computer, either for the Windows or for the Mac. This will be the case. So I'm going to upload these files later so that you can take a deeper look. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know. We're going to help you with the installation process. Okay. For the the sign in, since for I mean for all the students who register for the AI Hackathon, you can actually we can help you apply for the Codex free account provided by the CSU system, provided by the Capoli Pomona. Okay, so basically, after the installation of the Codex, basically what you are going to see is this interface. If you click on the app, then basically you're going to see this interface. This is basically the login. Okay, the login page. In this case, we can directly continue with the ChatGPT. And for example, in my case, you can directly type in, for example, this is my Calpoli Pomona education account. So you have to use your Calpoli Pomona email account for the sign in. Okay. So I click on continue, then I will be directed in to the Calpoli Pomona login account. So and you click on continue. Then after this step, you can see I'm successfully logged in, and on the bottom left, you're going to see the Calpoli Pomona log or icon, which is this one. Okay, so currently we are using the free version, but I we believe it will be really enough for all of you for the for the AI hackathon. I mean, it will be totally enough for all of you to finish the AI hackathon to generate all the codes or do everything. So for the students who joined the previous sessions, maybe you remember the previous example that I showed in the first and also the second session where I run the personal financial spending tracker. So that was a really simple page, right? So for the students who joined who didn't attend the previous sessions, feel free to take a look at the recording. Okay. So next, I'm going to show you. I further make some modification, and I made some update on the on the app on the financial personal financial spending tracker. And as a result, I'm going to show you how you can implement all the idea in or all the code into the codex. Okay, so this will be a really easy process. So for example, you are going to ask the codex to generate all the file for you, right? Or you can use other tools like Cloud Code, or you can use ChatGPT to generate all the code for you. So after you generate all the code, I believe you're going to have the folder or this file for the including all the code. For example, in this case, as you can see, automatically it's generating all the code that I need to run to run this app or to run this web page. Okay. So as a result, I'm going to have this kind of folder. So the only thing I need to do is simply drag all the way down. Oh, the only thing you need to do is, how we click on the folder and then, oh, sorry, we click on the folder and how, oh, sorry, I think I'm going to need a mouse. Uh, Okay. So the only thing you're going to do you're going to need to do is you can simply drag the file into the codex into the stress or the explorer part. Okay, then all the folder will be automatically showing up here. And as you can see, this is the name. Let's build. This is the name of the folder, right? The IST, has 303 Catalyst main 2, right? This is the name of the folder. And basically you can, then continue. For example, you can, by asking the question like, provide me, provide me instructions how to run the app. Okay. So that's why you don't need to understand, what the code means for each row, but instead, you're going to, directly ask the codex how to run this app. Okay. So as a result, he's analyzing all the, the files or all the, the Python packages. And as a result, you are going to see, how the final instructions. It takes some time, but, eventually you're going to see. Okay. So I mean the operation will be really easy, right? So the only thing we need to do is simply drag the file into the codex, and basically as you can see, this is already generating all the required this is already generating all the required steps that we should follow in order to run this app. Okay. After you have all the instructions, the thing we need to do is on the top right. So we have some options. We have cursor, we have finder, but in this case, let's choose the terminal. Okay. For Windows, it should be the command. So in this case, we just copy and paste each line individually, and then eventually run the app. Okay. For example, I first copy the first line, and then I click on enter. So as you can see, how the location now get updated, right? And then what I can do is creating a virtual environment. So basically, this is what I'm currently doing. So I'm creating a virtual environment, and then the third line is I'm activating the virtual environment. As we can see at the beginning of the code or at the beginning of the terminal, we have one sentence or we have one additional word saying this is the VENV, which means this is the virtual environment in this case, right? And then we're going to install all the Python packages that we are going to use for this task. Okay. So after we click on yes, we are collecting, we are downloading, we are installing all the packages, right? So as you can see, we are installing all the collected packages automatically. And then if you see this, terminal line or command line again, it means we are successfully installed all the packages we need, right? And then what we are going to do is we go to this file, which is called cd new code. And the last step we are going to run is simply follow the instruction. Okay, so Python 3 app.py will just copy and paste each row of the command and then paste it into the terminal and then run the terminal. Okay, in this case, of course, as we can see, uh, oh. Oh, there's a small okay. Yeah, there's a small error, but no, let's take a look how we can fix this issue. Okay, so we can copy and paste all the the error message and tell Codex we have an error in this case. So and then for example how to fix the error. Okay, how to fix the error. So this is something we can quickly do. Okay. This is some easy steps to follow, and eventually we are going to fix all the code within the options. Okay, so but let me quickly show you how it looks like eventually. So okay, so I have some changes to make eventually. So we can take a look. We can wait for some time and then see how it works. Okay. So let me first, show you eventually how the new platform or how the new website looks like. So basically now this is the new dashboard. Okay, so this is called the financial tracker. So this is for the dashboard for this month, and we have all the expenses, we have all the income, we have all the budgets, we have all the final goals, we have all the category and also recurring purchases. Basically this is the more advanced solution you hope to design eventually. Okay, so basically from this example, if you compare the financial tracker that I showed in the first two sessions compared with the one that I'm showing right now, as you can see there's a really huge improvement. So this is basically what we mean by the product design. So to begin with, we design something really simple. We ask the Codex or the ChatGPT to generate something really simple, really easy to work with. And the next step, is after we have the prototype, we think about what kind of, other, more fancy or efficient, tools or functions we should have. For example, maybe we should have this expense change, expenses, page so that we can, add on the expenses. And also we can have this income page, we can have this budget page, we can have the final goals, and also we can have by category analysis, and also we can analyze what is the recurring expenses that we have to keep track of, right? Sometimes we subscribe for some service, but we eventually forget. If you have this kind of recurring charges and also subscriptions, then you can better manage everything, right? So this is one example showing you how to improve. This is the so-called product design, how to improve your final product, line by line. Okay, this is basically something please keep in mind. So with that being said, for today, we are mostly going to introduce a so-called product thinking and also how we can eventually evaluate your final product or your final project. Okay. So for the first part, we're going to introduce what do we mean by the product design or the product thinking. Then we are going to think about how we can evaluate our final product. Okay. So what at least what you are going to have is two templates for the product thinking and also evaluation, and also the Codex prompts and also a demo checklist. So first of all, why product thinking in this case really matters? Because eventually you are not only generating the Python code. So, similar to before, after all, this is a AI hackathon challenge. So I always think about the AI hackathon challenge as a Shark Tank, the TV show. So basically you create something which can be a really prototype, but you present your idea or you present your final product to the stakeholder, to the investors, and to the companies who actually give you the challenge, right? And they are going to think about or they are going to evaluate how good your solution is, and basically they are going to determine whether they actually want to invest in your project or not, right? So basically this is the entire process. So which means what we should have is a clear mind that what kind of problem we want to solve, and after how you generate the prototype, how we improve the prototype, and also how we demonstrate, how we present the prototype. Okay, this is something we have to keep in mind. So, for example, usually for this kind of AI hackathon challenges, the judges really reward clarity, so they can only score how what they can understand just within several minutes, right? For the first round, we are going to submit a 5 minutes recording introducing what is how who are you and who you are, and also what is your business idea, what is the solution to the the business problem, and what is your prototype, right? You're going to show them the final prototype or the final product you designed and also you created, right? So which means you have to make them understand why this matters or why this works only within several minutes. In this case, you have to clearly explain what is the problem, what is the workflow, what is the value, and your prototype or product as an evidence that you can show actually show them you can solve this this kind of problem, right? So this kind of clarity is really really important, which means you are not only working from software engineer perspective, but you are mostly working from the product manager perspective. This is your baby, this is your product, so you have to clearly demonstrate why this works and why you design something like this. Okay, and of course uh, always remember, the generative AI, it's only a tool. It's not the product itself, which means the generated code, if you don't run it or if you don't explain it, it doesn't mean anything to anyone. Okay. So, a model call or the final prototype is only, a mix of features. So a product, on the other hand, is, what user will think about the product. What is the workflow or what is the flow for your entire design, and what is the final outcome, what are the constraints, and what are the evidence that showing the users may like it. Okay, so these are everything that we need as a final presentation, not only the prototype or not only the the app or the the website or the platform you designed, but also the entire thinking process why this matters. So the fastest path, of course, is to to a strong demo. Is, for example, you can pick one user, one type of user. You can do specifically one job to be done, and you can think about one thin slice of workflow that ends with an output that the user can act on, right? So basically, you can design a really complicated or sophisticated or really thorough platform, but within the given time, there's nothing too much you can show, which means as long as you have one really effective or working a solution that could be really beneficial to the user or attractive to the judge, then you should demonstrate or you should concentrate on that point only. Okay, so this is the main idea. So for the product thinking, loop, this is something we also briefly introduced last time, and also from the example that we showed today. So you can begin by thinking something really simple. Maybe the initial type or the initial prototype can only include, let's say, 2 to 3 functions or 2 to 3 I mean functions or features, right? If you remember the first version or the first generation of the personal financial tracker app I designed. So in that example, what we have is only some expenses, and well only some expenses, some deposits. Basically that's all we have, right? But eventually, given the first generation, we further think about how we can improve further and further, right? So we can split some of the web pages. We can design an entire a working platform. We can also think about what about by category analysis? What about the data visualization? What about the repeated or the recurrent spendings like the subscriptions? So that's something we can consider further and further based on your business sense and experience, right? So which means in this case, for each loop, we can start early. We can define a simple user story and also the job. And based on that, we can further extend. We can define the, the we can define the decisions and also the output the user needs, and then we can build a really simple workflow, and then we can add generative AI where it changes the outcome, and we can choose 1 to 3 success matrix, and this is the end of the first generation of the product, right? The prototype, and we can further making it more and more efficient, making it more and more clear. And as a result, that's the improvement you are going to see compare, the two generations, right? So, if you think about the financial tracker as the example, so, previously the really generation one of the app design was really simple. So I only want to have so my user are the students. I only want the students to try to control their spendings, keep track of all the spendings they have, right? So my job is to understand the patterns and also decide next week's budget. So which is really straightforward, which means the output will be a budget plan. That's why I'm also including the ChatGPT API for some interactions to help me analyze what is the category that I'm spending money on, and how I should save some money, or how should I optimize my spending structure, right? And of course, this is the initial version. But of course, after some time, I further make some improvement, and as a result, the final product is the one that you saw at the beginning of the presentation, right? So template number one. So this is a really one sentence product prompt. So basically you can I mean to begin simple, this is something you can think about, right? So for example, who are the user? Are you introducing the product to the, let's say, the students, or the faculty members, or the employers, or the interviewers? Who are who are your users, right? So this is the first question you have to think about: who is the audience, who is the user? And for example, they need to do something specific, which is their specific job, right? This is where you have to clearly define what is the functions, or what is the problem you want to solve. And of course, our product helps them do what, right? For example, we can generate some automatic, recommendations. We can help them generate some visualization tools. We can help them, automate some of the process. This is how we can help them with our product, right? And of course, by the workflow, this is your specific design for your prototype and your product, so they can make some decisions, right? So basically, this is the structure to think about what kind of product you want to design. So again, these are some specific examples. For the financial tracker example, for students who need to control spending, the app helps them understand where money goes by logging purchases, and also generating an AI budget plan, so they can decide what to cut next week, right? This is simple. This is the simple starting point that we can begin with. Then for the codex prompt, for example, ask me 5 questions to complete the specific sentence, and then the output is the final sentence plus 3 features, right? So basically, this will be the interaction that you can learn from. So the thin slice MVP, so minimum, viable. So one workflow that reaches value. So if you cannot demonstrate your main idea in 90 seconds, then this is not your MVP. Okay. So especially since we are talking about the AI hackathon, you're going to have really limited time for the entire presentation. So with the limited time, you have to attract judges' eye by showing at least one thing that really works really works nice, or works perfectly, right? So which means in this case, you have to complete, you should, directly show. For example, you can add some purchases, and how you can analyze them by the category, by just, by some visualization, and you can, provide some, actionable budget plans, and also the next steps, right? As soon as, you can, show them this is the flow, or, this is how the user may be beneficial from your prototype, then it should be fine. Okay. So for example, given back to, how I'm coming back to this example, so we can add all kinds of, expenses, right? So, for example, today I spent, $100 on my tuition, and oh, sorry, on my tuition. This is for Calpri Pomona, right? So I add this, expenses. You can, quickly show everyone this is the case. And if you go back to the dashboard, and this is how you are spending all of the money for this month. And of course, if you keep adding some more interesting examples, the expenses, eventually you are going to see a really thorough or interesting, spending pattern, right? And of course, eventually you are going to get some, actionable budget plan based on all your spending results, right? Then this will be really helpful for many of the students if we try to manage our budget, right? So this is a quick example showing how what kind of stuff you should demonstrate or you should present to the judges eventually. So for the features, there are, of course, nothing is perfect from the beginning. We can, split all the features into three dimensions, like the must, the should, and also the could. So the must are the, some fundamental functions we must have, right? So for example, in this case, what is the working workflow end to end? How should we work without the API key? What is the shareable URL? What is the clear instruction, what we should do? What is the clear UI UX design? So these are the really, important fundamental designs you must have. If you don't have, these, then the website or the app may not work at all, right? So the second part is, what you should have. So for example, in this case, if you remember in the first two sessions, the financial tracker I presented, I don't have any UI UX design in that example. So which means, it looks really nothing too fancy, right? But of course, you can further include some interesting UI UX design. And also you can, have some example inputs. You can have some, history pages. You can have some basic matrix page that, or some data visualization to demonstrate everything, right? This is something that you should have, at the stage of the, the final round, okay? And of course, there are something that you could have only if you have the time. So these are some, additional features or additional functions that if you have, it will be really nice. But it is totally okay that if you don't have these additional features, right? For example, the multi-user accounts, the charts, the advanced evaluations, the payments. So these are the more advanced features that you could have, but you don't have to design at this stage. Okay, but in the future, if you are really serious about the vibe coding and if you want to use the vibe coding for actually starting a business, then these are the could be also important for you in the future. Okay. Um, so again, because of the nature of the AI Hackathon challenge and also how we demonstrate, the pitch is really important. So for example, in just 1 minute, you have to clearly define what is the problem, who are the user, what is your solution, what kind of generative AI tools we can use, and why now, and what kind of final product we can design, right? And also the demonstration could be what are the input, what are the output, what are the decisions that can be changed, and what can be the evidence. For example, in this example, if I further, like keep track of more expenses for this month, then eventually, as you can imagine, I can have the expense vs income in my in this example, right? And also the pie chart, so the spending by the category, and also the the time trend that I have for the entire year, right? For example, and then eventually, what we are trying to do is we can generate some actionable advices based on the analysis of all the data we showed here, right? So as a result, you can quickly show, you can think about some really good, motivating examples showing the automated decision assistant could be really helpful if you want to manage your budget next week, right? So, this is something that you can immediately show the value. And of course, lastly, for the evaluations and also the proof why it works. So this is how to show the evidence in the hackathon. Okay, without too many heavy machine learning tools or some measures or matrix. So this is how you can quickly show. So the proof is simple. So for example, in this case, if the app or the website changes a decision or reduces effort or doing something helpful. For example, for the personal financial tracker, example, if after you input all the spendings and the AI or the OpenAI API do the analysis for you, and you can have better actionable plans for next week so that you can save some money, then this is a clear proof that the website works, right? So for example, in this case, you can show 3 example scenarios with the consistent output. You can show how reliable it is. You can show at least one matrix like the speed or the accuracy or the satisfaction that why it works, right? Just imagine this is like the Shark Tank. You have to show, you always people ask, how much money, how much profit, what is the the profit margin you have for, for the product, right? Then people are going to say, my profit margin, my cost is, let's say $2, and my profit margin is 150%. So based on these kind of data, based on these kind of matrix or matters, people are going to the judges are going to decide which project or which product they're going to invest and how much, right? So basically, this is the main idea. So of course, the hackathon-friendly evidence pack would be, for example, you can do some test prompts, you can do some logging and also user rating, you can do some screenshots of the results table and also the matrix page, and also some examples like the one I mentioned before. Okay, so these are some evidence or proof that you can potentially use when you do the presentation. So for the evaluations, of course, you can always refer to the, the judge rubric for the AI hackathon, but these are some, fundamentally important, evaluation matrix. For example, the first one is the functionality. So does the workflow run end to end? Whether there's any error or bug, when you run the process, right? Then the second is, the quality. So is the output correct or actionable or formatted, right? For the outcome, does it save time and also improve the decision? For the risk, what kind of stuff we should be careful of, right? Does it avoid unsafe leaking or wrong actions? So this is something you have to think about, eventually. But of course, maybe not in the first round of the the recording submission, but definitely in the second round, if you make to this finalist. Okay, so these are some really fundamental metrics you should think about in the future. So a simple rubric will be something as follows: the accuracy, actionability, and grounding, format, and also safety. Okay, this is only a continuation. So the instrumentation, which is the log and the rating in the SQL. So this is something you hope or you may potentially have in the future. Okay, so you can store all the AI costs. In this case, which is the prompt, the response, and also the time step, and let users rate whether it's good or not. So basically, this is showing. This is like the Amazon review. So you develop some product, you ask someone else, or you ask the ChatGPT to run some runs, and you basically rate whether the generated product is good or not, right? So basically, this is something that you can keep in mind for the final evaluation. But of course, in the first round, you don't have to keep track of everything. But if in the future you are serious about converting the challenge into a final product and maybe start your own business, then this is something or some data you need to think about having. Okay. For the final presentation, so this is a framework for the presentation, right? So you can show how many tests you have run, what are the AI costs rated, what is the the positive rate for all the AI costs, what is the the time saved, what is the main workflow, the example output, the matrix, and also the you can have a final closing conclusion or final closing statement. For example, you can end with here's the decision we improved by how much and how efficient, right? Then you can build the next steps that you want to improve your final product. Okay, so basically these are the steps you should follow. So of course, we are not actually leaving the homework, but this is something I hope you can experiment with. So this is also something I always tell my students. Many of the steps, for example, the GitHub or the code spaces or the codecs, it seems quite different from what you are familiar with. The programming itself, seems a little different from what you are familiar with, but the most important thing is you have to get started with. So as soon as you get started, you write something simple, you do something as simple as this, or you do something really simple, you are going to get some relatively nice results, right? For example, this is the example provided by Dr. Yufan Lin. So this is a small game that we developed. If you remember, this is a rock paper scissors game, right? So you can just start from really beginning, or you can even add a new project or start start something that is totally new. For example, if you click on a new template under this repository, basically you can have some you know uh, um, suggestions. For example, you can build a really classic snake game in this repo, or you can create a plan to do something else, or you can explore something else, right? For example, you can say you can work, just play around with all kinds of different suggestions so that you can understand better how it works. Let's say we click on this one, right? The build a classic snake game in this repo, then automatically the following will be the automatic prompt that help us to generate a snake game like this. Okay, so for example, as we can see, how the WASD, the arrow keys, this is in charge of the direction of the snake, right? So basically this is, from these examples, from these prompts, you can actually practice, and also you can actually learn how to write a really good prompt using these examples. And also you can learn how to think about, what you should include in the prompt. And also after you, for example, ask a specific request, they are going to generate the code for you. And based on the instruction, you can try to run the code, as you want it, right? So basically, these are the actual practice that really matters. Unless you actually have some hands-on experience on this, you make some errors, you have some obstacles, but only until you actually make it come true, you're going to realize the value, or you're going to realize you will be capable of doing a lot of other more advanced steps. Okay, so basically this is the main idea for today. So again, let me recap and also try to summarize the main topics. So first of all, we're going to upload the really specific step-by-step instructions for how to install and also how to use the OpenAI Codex app on your local computer. Whether it's whether you're using MacBook or you're using Windows, it's fine. It's fine. Okay. And also, if I believe most of you already register for the AI hackathon, and you have the access to the canvas. But the thing is, you still have to use your Capri Pomona email account to register for OpenAI or log into OpenAI, and you're going to have the access for the codex. And eventually, we're going to apply. For we are going to collect your email address, and then we are going to share that information to OpenAI, and you're going to have access to the codex. As the demonstration I showed before. So when you try to log in, you just log into the ChatGPT with your Calply Pomona account. Okay, so this is basically what you're going to do with as the next step. And also, remember, especially when you check the first two recordings, when I shared the really initial version of the prototype of this personal financial tracker, you can see the difference between the previous, really, the first generation and the latest generation, right? So, by comparing the two, just remember, this is how we actually design the product. We begin by something simple. We begin by having something really simple and easy to understand. Then further and further, we try to improve. We try to add some more functions or features to the website, and eventually it may look something more fancy, right? Or it can be more efficient. So this is our main idea for the product design. You don't need to start from a really thorough complicated user case or the final product. But you can always start easy, and then further and further you can make improve your product. Okay, this is what we mean by the product design. Don't start from something really complicated. It will be really difficult to understand eventually. Okay, and of course this is how we think about the product design, how we think about the product thinking, and how the judges may evaluate, or how you can prove, how your prototype or your product actually matters or actually helpful in during the presentation. Okay, so this is something some small tips that you can use for trying try to make your presentation or try to make your demonstration better. Okay, so basically this is the end of today's session. So in the future, I'm going to set up more office hours just in case you have any questions, especially the difficulty you have with the technology. But don't worry. So we are here to help. And most important thing to remember is get started, get some hands-on experience such that you know what may happen or what will happen. Okay, so this is really important to remember. Okay, with that in mind, so I guess that's the end of today. And if you have any questions, feel free to stay and ask. I will be here until 1 p.m. Okay, thank you so much for your attendance. Any questions?
Uh, would you mind if I ask a question?
Oh yeah, yes. Hi.
Yeah. So I love that you talk about how can you make your presentation stand out,
Mhm.
right? And about the design thinking. So can you give the audience a little bit more tips on how can you help to ensure your product can stand out among the competitions, for example? How can you do some research on
Mhm.
that to help your product stand out?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. That's a really fantastic question. To my understanding, there are, I mean, to the best that I can think about, I may give three, suggestions. The first one is, first of all, you have to imagine, or you can ask your teammates, or you guys can work together as the user, right? You can do a lot of tasks. You can, act as a user, not as a designer. So you can, as a user, you can think about, what is missing, what can we do better, what kind of, functions we want to have, what kind of problems we want to have, right? So, from a user perspective, this is how you, learn what kind of, additional, instruction, I mean, additional features you should include or additional improvement you should have, right? So first of all, think like a user. You have to do a lot of tasks on your own. You have to play around with your own product for many times. This is really important. Secondly, it's always nice to have some numbers, to prove that how your product works, right? For example, just like the Shark Tank, if how all the users are how really like your product, they have positive ratings, or you're making some money, your profit margin is nice, then it will be really nice, right? For example, if you are designing something that can, automate some of the process that is really boring, then you can, have, for example, you can do some test runs. Let's say you do the test run for 20 times, and you try to keep track of how much time on average you can save. For example, you can say eventually you can save 50% of the original workflow time, which means you can save 50% of our time, right? And of course, how you can say how much money potentially you can use, or what is the positive rate after some other people try with your product, right? So these are some numerical actual proof that can show how efficient your product is, right? And also thirdly, in addition to all this, you can actually utilize the ChatGPT or this kind of generative AI tools like Codex, right? So basically, you can ask the Codex as an interaction or as a dialogue to ask all kinds of questions like do you think the current type prototype is good enough? What kind of criteria should I pursue or should I think about? What kind of measure should I focus on? What kind of what is the most important feature that can distinguish myself from all my other competitors, right? So what is the most innovative point that that can be really important? So you can also have this kind of discussion with ChatGPT or with Codex. So I believe, as far as I can I think about right now, so these are the really important three aspects that you can think about. Firstly, think from the user perspective. You have to test your product on your own many times. Secondly, think about some potential numerical proof or measures that can evaluate your product, the performance of your product, right? And then you can always interact with the Python to understand better, what I mean, sorry. You can always, ask some questions with generative AI tools to have a better understanding what kind of stuff you should focus on or you should improve. So that's the best we can do. So Dr. Yufan, if you have any suggestions, please share with us as well.
Yeah, those are great suggestions. Thank you so much for sharing those. And one more tips I would like to share with the audience. If you have because you all have the ChatGPT EDU, and you can actually use it's a marketing research tool called a Deep Research, and that will also give you very comprehensive market report on the potential competitors. Then you can fully implement what Dr. Ken John suggested you.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah, thanks so much. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I'm going to share the recording for today later, and also I'm going to set up weekend, office hours. So if you have any questions, technical difficulties or all kinds of issues, always feel free to let me know. So thank you so much for your attendance, and I really look forward to your, final product and those, presentations. Thank you so much.